Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As already mentioned, I'm Dr. Zakyi Ibrahim from Cal State Fullerton. My home department is Religious Studies Department, and I'm the chair for the department as well. I'm also the faculty coordinator for Mellon Undergraduate Fellowship. How many of you know about Mellon Undergraduate Fellowship? Almost half of you. Very good. Very 1 minute introduction. It's a program that tries to help undergraduate students graduate quickly on time and then move on to PhD straight. And they actually give them support, material support, and all kinds of support. We give them stipends every semester, and we have mentors who guide them and to prepare for the PhD program. So the idea is we admit them when they are juniors, and then 2 years, the program takes 2 years. After that, they apply for PhD program. So this is a very good program, and I'm sure maybe some of you are targeting this, and it's a very, very good. There's another program called McNair in our campus and other CSU campuses, and this also prepares students to go for PhD programs. But the difference is sometimes the financial support that Mellon gives as opposed to McNair. They also give, but not much. Okay, so what I'm going to share with you today is some of the examples and expectations that we had as Mellon coordinators when we are trying to recruit students to this prestigious program. Yes, it's a very important program. So like I said, I just want to share with you some of the tricks and also what are the expectations when you are going to go through the interview process. Okay, so first of all, dress code for interviews. Yes, there is no standard dress code for interviews, but there is some form of expectation for a dress code, and that is why we need to talk about that, at least briefly. So the simple answer for whether there's dress code is it has to be professional. What does that mean, professional? First of all, why do they expect you to be professional in the first place? I'll explain what that means in a minute. But the reason why they have this code of dress or dress code is to establish quick and positive rapport with the interviewers. Sometimes you have one interviewer, sometimes two, sometimes three. In actual fact, sometimes it can go up to 5, depending on the structure. Okay, so it is very important for you not to turn off the interviewers by your demeanor. And the first thing they see is how you show up, how you dress. This is not supposed to be that. They don't judge you based on dress code. No. Even if they have things that they judge people based on, dress code is not going to show up there. But it is a fact. Okay? So you have to be aware of that. It is a fact. And so by showing up decent way, the link, the rapport, how you capture their attention is very important, because afterwards, sometimes they would be making decisions about you, about your future. Okay? And so you don't want something unnecessary as dress to waste your opportunity. Okay? So very important Yes. Of course, you need to impress them. Okay, you need to impress them. And like I said, the first thing is, they always say, first impression. You only have one chance to make first impression. Okay, and by doing that, they feel comfortable with you. Like I said, they will never say it, but it may, again, it may come, because sometimes you would be paired or you tie in terms of their decision with somebody else on all levels. And if they remember somebody very neatly dressed and somebody not very neatly dressed according to their perspective, who do you think they would gravitate towards? Okay, so that's what I'm having difficulty keeping this. No, I'll just use this.
Yeah. Sorry.
So this is very quickly moving on. And now, what does that mean, professional dress? It's based actually on culture, American culture, Russian culture, African culture, or specifically Nigerian culture, if you are doing the interview somewhere. So in here we are in America, and therefore what Americans perceive to be acceptable, that is what it means, cultural, okay? Culturally acceptable. And for example, if somebody is wearing suit, I'm using some example, and suit also means top and bottom, the same material, the same is suit. What I'm wearing is not suit. It's jacket and pants. Okay, so jackets and pants, good. Suit is good. But somebody wearing that, and somebody wearing jeans, shorts with a t-shirt. I'm not saying it's bad. It's culturally acceptable also. You can wear that anywhere, right? But what the interviewers perceive to be culturally acceptable, you should try to do that. It's just 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes you are going to spend with them. You understand? Try to present yourself very well, okay? So that's what it means. No, I think I'll struggle with that. So, again, current fashion or not. Again, the example I just gave you, ripped short shorts, for example, with t-shirt. It may be on top as fashion, but whether the interviewers would admire it or would compare that to somebody with the suit, I'm sure you would know. So that's what I'm saying. Just try your best to squeeze yourself and then impress them. It's not a bad thing to impress them, to try to impress them. Not too hard, but acceptable. Okay, that is very important. Okay. I think that this, I will just use my, it's okay.
Can I try to reset?
Okay, let's try to reset as I go on.
Sorry.
No problem. Okay, so now, moving quickly to some questions that they usually ask. And this is, we're trying to give you some practical aspect of this. Okay? And some of the examples are direct questions, some of them are not. I'm just giving you the topics on what areas. At the end of this, I have sample questions that we actually used for the students. And then I'll try to explain to you the reasons behind some of these questions. Okay, so that, and why are they asking that question? Because we actually planned this. because if we had a couple of us, a few of us, and we wanted all our ideas and our judgment to be uniform. So this is something I would give you at the end and explain to you. So eligibility question. It can come in different ways, or the qualification. Why should we, or why should you be considered more than the other? Very important question. They might not ask you directly like that, but they might ask, because we have asked this before. And in other interviews for people looking for jobs, they ask this question: why should you be picked over the other person? You can, in this case, depend on emotional answers. You can depend on whom you know answers. No, you have to give them professional, intellectual, academic answer. Okay, so that is how it should. This relates to qualification. What does that mean? It relates to qualification. You try to highlight. Maybe they have seen your application, they've seen a lot about you, but you have to sell yourself. You have to sell yourself. That's very important. And this is not bragging. Okay? You are actually telling them why you should. And in this case, you need to concentrate more on your achievements academically. Okay? You need to concentrate more on your achievements. If you have done other things outside academia, positively, you can include that. For example, you are a manager in a particular fast food restaurant. They might not be interested in that, but you should mention that. How long have you worked there, and why are you a manager there, and how successful you are in this. But if you have more on academic grounds, the better. Okay? But as we will come later, try to look at the website and the program very well. So when you are selling yourself, try to relate them to the program that you are trying to apply to. Okay? Another question is related to commitment to the program, and this is very important. They will throw you a question, and the reason is they want to see how much committed you are, because we have only 4 slots, and we have 10, 20, 50, 30 applications. Of course, if we have that much, we already weed them out, and then we come to 10 people, 8 people, and there are only 4 slots. So we actually would not want to pick somebody and realize that later that he or she is slacking, doesn't want to do their homework, or doesn't want to join the program activities. This is not good. And they are looking seriously for this. And where are they going to get it? How you answer the questions. And in this case, what do? You also sell yourself as far as things that you have done successfully. Okay, things that you have done that needed commitment, and you have stuck with that. Show that example. Okay, all these things you have to think about them in advance, and that's the reason why this is good for you to know about this, so that you can plan ahead and plan how you are going to answer the questions. Okay, how can you assure us or demonstrate your commitment to the program once you are selected? That's very important. Sometimes they ask that directly, sometimes indirectly. Again, we will see in some of the questions I will show you. Other common questions include the knowledge about the program. How much do you know about this program? And the secret behind this is for you to do your research on the program itself. I just told you about Mellon Maze. If you have never heard about Mellon Maze before, there is a website. You can just go, or Google is there. Some people call it the mini god, knows everything. You type in, you will find Mellon Maze activities. What are they doing? Of course, by the time you apply to this, you would have known the basics. But yes, go to their website and look at different dimensions of this program and know them very well. Okay? Knowledge about the program. What do you know about the program? They can ask you directly about that. Or they can ask you regarding Mellon Maze program, how is your goal related to the Mellon Maze philosophy? That can be a question. So that requires you to know more about the program itself, and so that you can connect your goal to that. Okay, so that's how knowledge about the program helps. Okay, there can be a very direct question or maybe an indirect question about that. So this is more expression. Some of this is just to explain more regarding your knowledge about it. How to present your ideas regarding your knowledge about this program or any other question they ask you. I wanted to give you some. These are very, very significant things. Be confident when you come in the interview. If there's one person, try to shake hands with them and look in their face. Okay? Sometimes there are different cultures. In some places in Africa, if you want to respect somebody, you don't look at them in the face. In American culture, if you don't look somebody in the face, that means you have something to hide. So try to look them in the face and shake their hands very well. Okay? Maintain eye contact. Be eloquent and clear in expressing yourself and answers. Very clear. Do not try to let them see that you are not sure about yourself. I'm saying all these things because we have experienced this. Last time we did the interview, there was a student who was really nervous and he couldn't express himself and he was looking down, and so immediately after he left the room, everybody took him out of the question. Everybody cancelled his name in terms of, but his application was very convincing. So that's why he got picked in the first place and he got invited, but he came and blew it. You understand? Just the way you present yourself. Because Mellon Maze, for example, is going to help students to go to PhD and become professors in humanities. So if you want to become a professor and you cannot speak, or you cannot express yourself, or you cannot convince somebody to pick you, that's not helpful. Maybe if they don't have a lot of applicants, they can pick you based on your application and your certificates, your transcripts. But we have highly qualified candidates. We can't afford to go with you. I'm sorry. That's all. And that is up to you. Okay? Do research on the program, like I already mentioned. Objectives, activities. Sometimes even the interviewer if it is one person or two people, you can look them up. I'm a professor at Cal State Fullerton. You go and check. If you check, you see my background academically. You see my interests. And more information. If I'm alone and then I'm interviewing you, in the course of the interview, you relate something to something about my academic background. How do you think I will feel about you in that moment?
Oh, I like this candidate.
Yes, exactly. So if you have opportunity, do that. Okay, research that interviewers, but sometimes specifically it's may not be necessary as long as you know about the program. Okay, as long as, but like I said, I interviewed a lot of times for jobs, and we interviewed people for jobs also. We hired professors. We look at them and how they present themselves to us, and very quickly, especially when they are coming to work with us, and then they already can relate to our research and tell us that they are interested in that research, or they have done something before in their graduate school about that. How do you think we would feel about that person? We think that, oh, he can fit in very well with us, as opposed to somebody who didn't know anything about you. You are not judging them based on these things. This is the reality, I'm telling you. They are not judging them about this, but they come into play sometimes, especially when there are highly qualified candidates and you only have to differentiate them a little bit. These things count, okay? Think carefully before answering any question. You know that. They will not disqualify you because you are trying to think. No. In fact, sometimes it's a plus. That means that you are deliberative. You are careful. You want to give them what they want. And when somebody is perceived to be deliberative, that means you are very intellectual. And we are doing this, and the program that you are applying is intellectual. So that is plus. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? There we go. So these are very important. I'm sure maybe David would, if you want to share with them everything, and that's up to you. But I don't mind you giving them. I thought maybe you have already given them anyway. But that's something you should look very quickly and try to apply that. Okay. More on the common questions. Your research interest. I'm not going to be discussing. I'm sure maybe you've already seen some experts who are into this research interest and proposal, and will take you through that. But your research interest or research proposal is very significant. Okay. I wanted you to see that. Okay. Which is, tell us more about your research interest or agenda. Sometimes they ask that directly. They ask that directly. I know sometimes it's early for undergraduates to have research interest. Okay? So I will tell you later, maybe when we are explaining this. Sometimes they just don't expect you to have a fine or refined research thesis statement. No. They just want to know that you have idea about something intellectual to do. Okay? However, if you are at that level of going for interview, just think about something very specific, the area you are interested in. Okay? And then you can express that yourself. So that's what we mean by research interest. very important component. Sometimes, of course, even you cannot, after you get accepted into this program, we take you through this, and by the time you are going for PhD or for application, you already have this ready, very developed. But here we are talking about before you even get into that program. Okay, before you even get into that program, you should have a clue about the area you are interested in, and how do you come up with this. You can have 2 or 3 at this level, based on your interest in your classes that you are taking. Pick some interesting topic in one of your classes. I'm just trying to give you some workable thing if you are not already there. If you want to come up with this, pick one of your courses that you are interested in, pick a topic there, and see if you can elaborate on that. You may change it. Those we accepted into the program, after a while, almost 100% of them, they change their ideas and their research interests. But here you are trying to get to this program. So you have to have something to give them, okay? So that, and there would come a time where maybe they would have to judge between you and somebody in terms of what you can contribute into this program. They need to see what you have, you are trying to work on, intellectually speaking, okay? So that's what I put there. Make sure you have one agenda or research topic. It might not be fine topic, but area, you have to have that. Okay. Know it very well. By that I mean you make sure you can express yourself in that. Okay. Express yourself about that topic or about that area or about that subject. Most of the time in this kind of interviews, they are not going to ask you to elaborate and explain more. If I'm going for a professor position in a university, that's what they would expect from me, not undergraduate students who are trying to get into program in order to become professors. They just want you to have some idea about what you want to research in. You can change it later on, but for now, they want specific area or subject that, and they want to know that. Okay, and that is going to help you very well. Your goals. They want to know about your goals. Okay, what are your educational or academic goals? They can just ask you that, or they will ask it in a different way. What do you hope to achieve academically in the end? Okay, and very quickly you want to become a PhD and become a professor. It's a very simple one. But that's expected. As I will tell you in the next report, there are different good, excellent, decent goals. Okay? So, what are your career goals? The academic goals, if they ask you this, you can explain, but that is related to the academia. But career goals is the professional side. Yes, I'm a professor. That is a career for me. But when I was a student, my academic goal was to become a professor, for example. So that was academic goal. I just want you to see the difference. Okay? So the career goal is very important. Sometimes it's already defined, depending on the program. Okay, but if it is Google, for example, you want to work there, they can ask you about your career goals, and it's not going to be when you are applying for academic position. Okay, but in these kind of interviews, they can ask both questions. They just want to see, and all this gives them other important information about you. Okay. That gives them other information about you. Here, decent versus excellent answers. And this is very crucial. how do they judge whether you are giving them good answers, or excellent answers, or bad answers, or incomplete answers? Okay? We are looking for decent and excellent answers. Bad answers, incomplete answers disqualify you right away. Okay? That's why we don't even bring it here. We don't look for them. Okay? They will ask you something and you answer about something else. That's bad answer. They will ask you something to elaborate and you just answer the first part. I see this in a lot of times, even when in the final exams. I would ask a question for a final exam question, and it has two components, and a student will just go right away and answer the first part, or answer the second part and leave the other part. It's very discouraging, especially you don't want to do that when you are going for an interview. And these are the bad, incomplete ones. So what we are interested in decent and excellent are good, okay, acceptable. However, excellent is better than decent. So how do you try to make your decent answer an excellent one? Okay, that's just, decent ones meet the minimum requirements and expectations. What are your goals? This, and this. As simple as that. I'll give you an example. There I have an example of the question and the answer. It should be direct. Mention it directly. Okay? And it should be complete according to the question. If the question is two components, make sure you answer those two components. And before I move on, I should tell you that it's not a bad thing to have your pen and pencil or a paper. If they ask you questions, you write them down before you answer them. It's not a bad thing. Why? Because you want to make sure that you answer everything right and completely, so they understand that. And that actually can show that you are diligent. Okay, so no problem about that. So completely, make sure, don't answer part of the question and leave other part out. And how do you know this? If you are attentive, careful, listening, that's acceptable. Okay, sometimes, and we will come to that, if they have rubrics, they will give you the points that you have because you met the requirements of the answer. And that can help you more, because if they are going to be judging based on numbers, you might get. But somebody with excellent answer may get more than you. So that's why you have to think, how do I make these answers very excellent and excellent? So in addition to this decent, an excellent answer should include other components, okay, as I mentioned here. Provide more clarification. And I have a specific answer, example to show you. But this is the theoretical aspect. Provide more clarification for your answer. Okay, you gave them what they want, clarify more or elaborate more. This is not an answer that needs 2 minutes or 1 minute. I'm not asking you to go to 5 minutes answer. That is, again, is turn off. We were trying to hire somebody last year, somebody, very excellent professor, but gave the impression to the whole department that he doesn't shut up. Disqualified means some people didn't want to pick him. They thought that maybe he would be too much as a colleague. Human beings, you can't understand who we are. He might be smart and he wanted maybe to impress more, but he overdid it. And that became a negative for him. That's not what I mean by elaborating. Elaborating means you just extend a little bit of what you mentioned by saying because of this, or the reason I said this is this. That's what I mean. Okay. That's so more clarification. Again, answer more of the 5 W's and 1 H. You know this? Most of you, if you are communication students, or even maybe in your research methodology segment, somebody might talk about this. This is anything you are going to talk about. It helps also for your research papers. Ask yourself these 5 W's and 1 H. They don't all apply on every point. Sometimes 2 of them, sometimes 3 of them, sometimes only 1 applies, but they are very important. Ask those questions before you and see whether you can answer them. The 5 W's are here. I say who, what, where, when, and why. And then how. Like I said, some of them don't apply to everything. So if you can, if they can apply, try to answer that as much as you can. If it doesn't apply, move on, forget it. But if you have 1 of it, then 2 of them, 3 of them, that helps you give an excellent answer. Okay? And I also added, give examples. Whatever you say, if you have a small example, give that example. Look at this. Would you please succinctly state your academic goal? This is a question we ask some of the students, or all of them, we ask them. Very simple question. We already said that, succinctly, very clearly, precisely, tell us your academic goal. A decent answer may be, my academic goal is to graduate with a BA and a PhD from a reputable university. That's a complete goal for an undergraduate student to have. You understand? And it will be accepted. Unacceptable or bad answer would be if you don't actually answer the academic goal. If they ask you about academic goal and you are talking to them about your career, that will be bad. Okay, so this is good, but let's see an excellent answer, and it can be even more excellent according to your thinking and how you want to put it. My academic goal is to graduate with a BA and a PhD in a timely manner from an Ivy League university such as Harvard or Yale or UCLA. Okay? I believe this goal is achievable because I am a capable student. I'm a capable student with a strong commitment and high sense of responsibility. You are selling yourself. And yet, it also gives them your goal. You understand? That's what I mean. And you can see that I put them in different colors. Each color adds something there. Okay? So that's just an example. You can do that in any other. And I use some of the 5 W's and 1 H. Like I said, not all of them apply. Some, 1 or 2 apply, and then you answer them. So why do you have this goal? Where did you get this goal from? Okay, maybe it doesn't work. You move on to the other question. When would this goal be applicable? It can happen. Maybe it may not be applicable. You move on. So ask yourself these 5, 6 questions or 6 words regarding that goal, and see which ones would be useful or which ones you can actually apply, and then you include that there. It might not be as easy, but at least once you know that you need to elaborate more, you need to give an excellent answer, that helps you. Okay? So, appropriate questions for interviews. I'm going to go quickly. Most interviews end with a question like this. Do you have any question for us? They ask that a lot of times. What do you want to know more? about. They ask you about that. They ask them in different ways. I'm trying to say that you do not have to ask any question. You don't have to, okay? Your research about them should give you information more. I usually said, I think I'm fine, I have already done the research. If I have any question later, I will contact you. That's if I really don't have anything. But if I have something, I ask more, one. But if you need to, for example, the research you did about them did not clarify certain things, you ask that part. Let them know that you did research and you know about it, but you still need to know about this part. Very question. Make it brief and concise if you have to. Relate it to the program itself. Clarification, for example, decision timetable. When are they going to give you response about the interview? Something like that, they expect. But sometimes all this is already explained in the interview or in the invitation. So if these are already explained in the invitation or in the website, you don't have to ask because they just ask you to ask them. No, you don't have to. But if you have to, make sure that it is a legitimate question, okay, and make it brief. So I have these questions, again, typical questions that you can ask them. These are just made up, okay, but in case you have to, that's what I'm saying. I read on the website that there are other opportunities for the fellows if they are admitted, accepted. I was hoping if you could please elaborate on that, because you said there are other. You already know that there are opportunities, but you read that there might be other opportunities. Can they elaborate on that? That shows that you are interested and shows that you have done some work on them. So that's very important. I was wondering, what is the timeline for the committee's decision? In other words, does it take 1 week or 2 weeks or 5 weeks in order for you to decide? Again, I just ask this as an example. Sometimes it's already been explained to you in the application or in the website, on the website, or somehow. So if you don't have to, don't ask that. Okay. Another one is, what happens if a fellow is unable to complete the first year of the program due to illness? Is there a chance to continue afterwards, for example? This may not be elaborated on their website, and you are interested in knowing. These are the kind of questions you ask, okay? But don't ask many questions. At least don't make it, don't ask more than 3 questions. Never do that. 1, fine. 2, fine. Maybe 3, but not more than 3. I prefer not asking or 1. Okay, it's better, because sometimes, like I told you, you already built an excellent rapport with them, and there, right? And on a positive note. You don't know what the question will bring. So if you don't have to, forget it. Move on. Or if you have to, maybe 1. Okay? Practice for the interview. Practice makes perfect. This is always, you know this, they tell you everything. Write up some questions. Ponder deeply every question. Think about it. Find a colleague or friend to practice with. If possible, practice questions and answers by actually saying them and answering them, okay? Try to be focused. It's very important to be focused, okay? And not let them get the impression that your mind is somewhere. Be focused, okay? Committee's judgment and evaluation. Different methods for evaluating interviews. There are different ways they evaluate these candidates and during the interview. We are talking about the technical part. Sometimes they have number scoring based on rubrics. They have Every question they give you the number. Every question they give you the number, and then they will add them up. If somebody has decent question, it's this. If somebody has excellent question, he or she has this. So try as much as possible to score more. Okay, but that's just one. They may not be using that. Okay, and another one is grade scoring, A's and B's, and that's just something to be aware of. So they get highest grades are selected. But in both cases, either it is number scoring or grading, it is also still based on subjective and objective. And this is where the difficulty comes in. That's why you want to impress them. That's why you have to be eloquent. That's why you have to impress them. It's subjective and objective combined. They expect this answer to look like this. But how do you answer it? It's subjective. And it can be impressive to somebody and not impressive to the other. So that's why you need, and that's why hence you need to be prepared and professional, practice and impress them because of this combination of objectivity and subjectivity. You understand? So you might be the smartest and give all the answers perfectly, but you might not be, you didn't come across as somebody that they like. That's the problem. And you just shot yourself in the foot, even though you are the smartest. You see, so you know about this objectivity and subjectivity is very crucial. It's there, whether we like it or not. It's there. Okay. Common pitfalls. I'm just about to finish now. Some pitfalls that people engage in: not paying close attention to the questions, because sometimes people may be thinking about other things. Try to concentrate. I already mentioned focus. Okay? Misunderstanding the question. If you don't understand the question, please ask them to repeat it. Politely, please repeat that question. Or repeat the end, the last part of the question. Just let them know that you are interested in understanding. And most importantly, don't answer based on misunderstanding. You understand? Don't answer it if you don't understand. You have to be clear. Ignoring or skipping parts of the question. I just told you in the beginning, a question can be two parts. Try to answer both parts. Even if you answer the first part and you forget the second part, ask them, what was the second part of the question again, please? They will tell you, and then you answer that. Okay? Don't ever ignore. It is one of the most turning off things. People ask somebody something and you, like politicians, or even they do worse, they will ask them something and they go and answer something else. They are politicians. They are not going to be paying for that, right? They are already elected or they want to be elected. So academically, it is a turn off. Okay? Incomplete answers. Some questions have multiple segments, like I already mentioned. Nervousness and anxiety, sometimes you can help this, but try to do things that you can in order to change the situation. Okay, sometimes some people may say, oh, I'm a little bit nervous. They understand that, but don't be nervous for the entire 30 minutes or 15 minutes. If you are nervous for 2 minutes in the beginning, 5 minutes, fine. Let them know that you recover. Okay, you can recover and move on by answering and and one of the secrets is try to focus on one person. The person who asked you the question, try to focus on that person. If you are nervous, try and answer. If you are so comfortable, and there are three, look in their faces as you answer the question. But if you can't do that, focus on one and move on and try to give your answers. Okay? Nervousness is sometimes they understand it, but it's still they can avoid to see that. Being distracted or looking down or looking away is not a good thing. Let them know that you are interested and you are serious about that. How to stand out. Lastly, First impression. How to stand out of 8 candidates or 10 candidates, and they need 4. That's why I've said first impression. Dress code, firm handshake, okay? And look in their face, okay? Sometimes you don't have to, because the setup may not require you to shake their hand, but try your best if you can, okay? Try. If it is not feasible or conducive, forget it, don't force it. Okay, but it's good to shake hands, smile, okay, smile as much as you can, look in their face. And then, of course, academic excellence. You can't avoid that. Intelligent answers, honest answers, elaborate when possible. That catches their attention, okay, because they have to pick you over somebody else. I remember one of the questions we asked some students about how to rate themselves regarding. She gave everything 100%, 100%. Yeah. And of course, if it's good if you rate yourself that you can elaborate more, because I usually try to do this and that, or I am this, in a positive way, okay? And she may not actually be the best, but she presented herself to be the best. Do not undersell yourself. We are not asking you to lie, no, but sell yourself, okay? Positive outlook, which is show genuine interest in the program, because they want to know that you will love it or you like it, as opposed to showing that you don't care. If they pick you, fine. If they don't pick you, no problem. That's not a good thing. That's bad approach. Let them know that you are interested genuinely. Okay. Ask intelligent questions. Be serious but calm. Okay. Be serious but calm, and then you leave everything in their hands. And if you are a believer or faithful person, you pray. Right? That's a good help. And follow up, thank you email. You follow up, send email the same day or the next day. Don't let it go beyond that. Make it brief and genuine. Express your gratitude for being invited, to being selected. Because like I said, 30 students applied, they pick 10 and you are among them. Or they pick 5 and you are among them. That is something you have to appreciate. Okay? Thank them. And if you can do that, thank them also in the interview as well, either before or after. You can do that, that's acceptable. But do not bombard them with emails after the interview. I can tell you for sure that we declined from offering a job to somebody because one of our colleagues got 3 emails from him after the interview. For some reason, he wanted to impress, and for some reason, he wanted to correct some things he had said in the interview. He didn't need to, but he came across as pushy. And that colleague wasn't happy. And we are colleagues, we have to work together, so we can't bring that person who is a nuisance to one of us. You understand? He was bypassed. I didn't like that, but it happened. You understand? So, but don't bombard them with questions again after that or emails. No more questions in the follow-up. Don't ask, you didn't ask it in the, but in the end they will tell you, if you still have questions, please send us or contact me. That's politeness. If you didn't ask them in the interview, please don't ask them after. Unless they contact you later on to proceed with their thing, then you can ask about some more questions. You understand? That is very important. It looks like we don't have time, but the important part I wanted, maybe I should give this if we don't have time to talk about that. The questions that we have here, these are sample questions we actually ask students about that. I wanted to to show you how why we ask these questions. You have time? We have time to. Or I can give them this and you can photocopy for them.
Oh yeah, we do post it on our website, the PowerPoint as well.
Yeah.
You can get the PDF as well.
No, this one doesn't have that. You see, this one, I actually have, for example, number 1, name 2 things that are attractive to you about MMUF. That's Mellon Mays Undergraduate Fellowship. Explain why. You see, there are 2 components. That's what I'll say. Try to answer them in 2 components. But the note here we made is we may learn how deeply they talk about MMUF and how they appreciate MMUF program. We ask these questions in order to know that you just applied it. Did you just apply because everybody's applying? No. You really thought about this and you are really interested in it. So the way you answer that, it gives that idea, and you put notes there, you put points about your answer. Okay. Would you please succinctly state your academic goal? You see, I already asked that in the example. Another opportunity for them to state it clearly, in case it was not clear in the application, because sometimes they write something for the application. If it wasn't clear in the application, this is an opportunity for them to state it clearly. You see, and therefore we can pinpoint that, and he has excellent goal, or he has a decent goal. We can see that as well. Number 3, can you state definitely or tentatively your research area or topic? Okay, we put here, we hope to hear this clearly stated, for they will soon be required to identify and work on it in the program. So we want something, we need to hear something about that. However, if unable to articulate it in this answer, that's okay. In other words, because you are undergraduate and you are not even graduates yet, this is not something we would hold you responsible for. However, if somebody else has it clearly stated, that person comes ahead of you. That is important. You see, so that is very important since it is early. But those who can state it should get points for that. That's what we added. Those who actually stated it. If you didn't, that's fine. But those who did, they should get points for that. So they get better and higher and more points. Okay. Number 4, can you tell us what you would do practically as a professor that would be consistent with Dr. Mays? You see, we say Mellon Mays. These are some people's names they put together. So Dr. Mays is the African-American professor who came up with this program to help underrepresented students to go to PhD and become professors. So they put their name together with the Mellons, Andrew Mellons. You hear about this philanthropic guy. Their name, they put it together, Mellon Mays Undergraduate Fellowship. So this Mellon Mays, he has this philosophy and idea. And if you go to Mellon Mays website, you will see all that. So the question was, can you tell us what you would do practically as a professor that would be consistent with Dr. Mays or MMUF ideals? How do you answer this if you don't know anything about Mellon Mays program itself? You see? Or if you just know it surfacely, you need to know their ideas, their philosophy behind this objective, and then you relate it to yourself and how this is to help us. They said, we expect to hear how committed they are to MMUF ideals of helping and serving others, because that's the idea behind it. We want you to help others. So if you have example, practically what are you going to do in order to enhance that ideals? Okay. If unable to articulate this, that's okay, since it is too early again. However, those who can state it should get points for that. You see, if you can state that, and somebody did not state it, and that person who stated it is going to be ahead of you. Okay, so, and how do you get this? If you prepare yourself and do research more on that subject, okay, and go to their website and read more. From 1 to 10, I just mentioned this about one student. 10 being strongest. How will you rate your commitment? You see, commitment. They want to see how you commit, because whether you start it in 1 year and you drop out. Meanwhile, there were others who were committed and they didn't get the chance. So we want to know that in advance. Okay, so graduating from Cal State Fullerton or your school, how are you committed to this? Attending all scheduled MMUF activities, because we have activities that spread across the year. Proceeding to a PhD in humanities discipline. How do you commit yourself? Some people will give themselves 8. They are realistic because maybe I'm all in, but maybe I might be sick or not. Some people will go 10 out of 10, ignoring the reality that they might be sick somewhere. But for the purpose of this, it doesn't matter. That shows how serious they are. You see? That shows how committed they are. And even though the reality is that they cannot be 100% committed, because 10 out of 10 is 100%. But they gave themselves that anyway. You understand? And that student actually, it's not only because of this. Based on other answers, that student was the #1 person to be picked. Really. And it doesn't matter after we pick her whether that was 100% true or not. You understand? But how to get accepted is the important point. And she, at that time, she really meant it. Anything she would do in order to be accepted. And if she accepted, she would do anything in order to proceed and be successful. That's the commitment. That's what we are looking for. And she gave that. Others gave 8, 7, 9, depends. Okay? So, but here we hope to both learn how serious they are about being successful in the academia and to instill in them the importance of being committed to this program without dropping off. That is the idea. Okay? I'll just go quickly about the questions and what. Number 6. As an MMUF fellow, what do you think could be possible obstacle, academic, social, personal, for you to go to graduate school? And how would you overcome that obstacle? Now, instead of telling you this, what do you think we were looking for? Anybody? With this question number 6. What do you think we were looking for? Yes.
Yeah, like what are the obstacles that someone faces, and then how can the MMUF help alleviate those obstacles and enable them to succeed?
Mm-hmm. Any other? Very good. Thank you. Very good. Yes.
Like someone who strategizes in case they ever come across an obstacle, like when they have this obstacle, or I have a plan to overcome it.
Very good. That's another point. Any other?
Question. If there is no obstacle, then what? You should say there is nothing and it's not like until.
Yeah, very good question. Let's look at the question. As an MMUF fellow, what do you think could be the possible obstacle? There could maybe no obstacle, but could be. What do you think? It may not be, but my question was, what do you think we want to get the student, we want to hear from them and see from them? Okay? Yeah, these are very good questions. We may learn about their resolve to face and handle obstacles. They don't have, they might not have, but they are already resolved and ready for anything. You understand? Ready for anything. We want them to, if they answer this very well, we will see that. Yeah, you see, that's why we may learn about their resolve to face and handle obstacles towards achieving their ultimate goal. Because some people may be weak and they don't even have the edge to go on. They will just say, I was sick, and that's it. No, I was sick, but I'll come back. Or my parents were sick, and I was going to take care of them, but I wouldn't let that stop me. That's a possibility. It has nothing to do with you, but it's an obstacle. You wouldn't let that stop you. You let us see that. So just think about some possible obstacle, and then tell us how you are going to overcome it. That helps us know more about you and help us decide. You understand? So that's the very quick. Why should this committee pick you over the rest of the candidates? We already found example of that in the ahead. An ideal answer, you see, we said an ideal answer must include one of or both of this. Why should the committee pick you over the rest of the committee? Ideal answer should include one or two things. One is their research, quality or clarity. Talk about, I already mentioned that earlier, talk about how your research is superior to the others. You don't know the others, but it might be superior. You present it that way, okay? And secondly, commitment. Talk about your commitment. That's how we judge you based on the academic excellence and your commitment. Others may also have that, but the way you express it may be different. Yes?
About number 7.
Yes.
Because, I read some interview question and they say, okay, don't say I'm smart, don't say I'm intelligent, and then what are you exactly looking for? What answers make
Yes,
difference?
very good. That's what I said. You should talk about your research. How your research is. Just explain it and see. And again, later on, or before, you already talked about how you have to explain the significance of your research. In the academia, you have to do that. But here, not detailed, but just show it, just tell it. So by pointing out your academic interest, your research interest, and how you think it's important, you are already presenting to them. You don't necessarily tell them that you are the smartest or you are smart, but you can tell them that your research interest is a very compelling one, and you are committed to finishing it, or you are committed to doing it. You see? So you bring the idea of the viability or of the research itself and your commitment to doing it. That is very important. That's what we wanted to hear. Okay. Okay. Number 8, do you have any questions? This one, we just wanted to, it's always like that, because people have some things to ask if they can get that information somewhere. That's the opportunity. And then the last one, would you promise that this one is, because we didn't want people who went through the interview to go out and talking about the interview to others who are not. The reason is very important. Sometimes you are not a bad person, but you really want to be picked before the second person. So going out and discussing that with the other people before they get opportunity to talk with them is not good for you. You understand? It's not that you are a bad person or no. It's just and it's professionally not good. Okay. If you have any question, I'm available and I can talk with you before I leave. Thank you very much for listening.